play it all or nothing. Yeah, need it all in advance. The opposition know we're ready for it. Like a supper we eating, it won't be the last. Grind all the muscle, pull up. Poker right on the grass. We coming in, take over everything, run it up. Nothing holding me back. 3 in the wood, rushing.
Welcome to Takeover, the most underrated sports debate show on YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe for that weekly sports content. D'Angelo, what are we talking about today?
All right, so we're getting straight into it, you guys. All right, so we're talking about an NBA topic today. So following the Warriors championship win, there's been a lot of conversation about Steph Curry, about whether he's in the top 10 of all time now, or even the Mount Rushmore of NBA players right now. So one of our favorite sports analysts on this show, Kendrick Perkins, said that he would take Steph Curry over Kobe Bryant in his all-time list. So I am here to ask you guys, do you think Steph Curry has surpassed Kobe Bryant now?
I'll go ahead and take the floor on this one. I'm very scared to hear what Josh is going to say on this topic. I am extremely scared because he already said that Steph was better than Magic. So if things are lining up, Josh is about to hit us with a nuke right here. But there is no way that Stephen Wardell Curry is anywhere near Kobe Bryant. I feel like Steph Curry, after what he did in this finals, definitely cemented himself as a top 10 player of all time, having 4 rings, being the best shooter of all time. I think that definitely puts him in the conversation. And I feel like the only fact that this is a real conversation is because of what Steph does on the offensive side of the ball. Like I just said, he's the best shooter of all time. He generates, just him being on the court, just the defense gravitates towards him. But when you look at Kobe's game, I think Kobe was basically unguardable one-on-one. He was a mirror of Michael Jordan and could score in more ways than Stephen Curry as well. And I feel like defensively, this isn't even a conversation. We're looking at both sides of the ball. Steph doesn't really get the nod there. And Steph really hasn't been the best player in the NBA ever as well. I think the last argument we was arguing if Kobe was top 5. Josh asked me the question, what year was Kobe the best player, or when Kobe was most dominant? I think from 2004 to 2010, I would argue that Kobe Bryant was the best player in the NBA. And if you want to go back and forth with me on that one, you definitely can. But definitely in the 05-06 season where he averaged 35 points, I would definitely say he was the best player in the league. And I also think there are ways to get in championships were different too. Not to take anything away from Steph because no one can predict injuries or anything like that. But I mean, Steph was rolling to the finals with Kevin Durant, another all-worldly player, while not taking anything away from Pau Gasol, Lamar Odom. Kobe Bryant didn't have as stacked as a team going into the finals as Steph Curry. I'll say that. And if I'm a GM having to pick between Steph Curry and Kobe Bryant, I'm picking Kobe any day of the week.
Cam, did you just say that Kobe didn't go to the finals with a stacked team?
I said as stacked as Steph's.
He had Shaq, who was quite literally the most.
Steph had Clay,
Shaq
the
and Clay
defensive
is
player
not
of
a
the
fair
year,
comparison.
and Kevin Durant.
Shaquille O'Neal was the MVP.
I'm
Shaquille
saying, but
O'Neal was the most
he had
dominant
Kevin
player
Durant
at that time.
There, he had a top 5 player, the second best shooter behind him, and the defensive player of the year, all on the same team.
Okay, and that's valid. So that argument, I get what you're saying, but I hate when people use that kind of argument in legacy debates because it's not Steph's fault, and I don't think it should be to Steph's detriment in an all-time debate that his GM is super good at their job. Because Klay Thompson was a 13th pick. Draymond Green was a second-round pick. There were 34 people picked before Draymond Green. And so now we're going to punish Stephen Curry in an all-time debate because Joe Lacob and Bob Myers are good at what they do. I hate when people use that argument because I think it's a little reductive. And also, if we want to talk about stacked teams, in 2004 the Lakers had Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe Bryant, Karl Malone, Gary Payton, and a host of role players, and they lost to the Pistons. So, I mean, he's had stacked teams and he's failed before. I think that the team's argument is I think that's getting away from talking about their legacies. If we're talking about Steph versus Kobe, I'm not ready to say that Steph is definitively over Kobe, but I'm also not ready to say that there's no way, like you said, because I keep coming back to it, man. The reason I put Steph so high is Steph Curry was the driving force behind the way that we play the game of basketball right now. Like before Steph Curry, you normally didn't have people pulling up from 35 feet. You didn't have people just chucking high volume amounts of threes unless they just sat in the corner and they were a white guy who couldn't run, couldn't jump, and couldn't defend. They were just there to strike the three. Now your superstar has to shoot threes. If you don't shoot threes, you automatically get dropped in the draft. You are automatically less valuable as of a player. The reason that people don't really buy, like, for example, like Josh Giddey, the biggest thing I read about Josh Giddey does everything right. Josh Giddey is a fantastic passer. He's good at getting to the rim. He's a 6'8" point guard, and yet he can't shoot. And so automatically it's like, well, he has to fix that or else he's never going to really be as valuable of a player. Steph Curry is the reason for that. Steph Curry is the reason we have guys like Karl Anthony Towns coming into the league shooting threes at 7 feet tall. So that's why Steph to me is always is in the top 10 all time, personally. Now, is he over Kobe? I'm not 100% sure on that because, as you said, Kobe was one of the most dominant scorers of all time. And the fact that he was averaging 35 points at a time when most teams were putting up about 98 per game is incredible because that's a lot of points when not a lot of people were putting them up. But I think dismissing Curry in this argument, I think, is a travesty because Steph Curry has done so much for the game of basketball. And I mean, respectfully, Steph Curry has always been the best player on his team.
No, he hasn't.
Yes, he has.
He hasn't. I definitely disagree.
Steph Curry was better than Kevin Durant.
We can go ahead and dictate and judge Kevin Durant all we want, but I don't even think he beats LeBron James without Kevin Durant. If we're really gonna take it there,
Steph Curry was the most important player on
they couldn't even get past him. When LeBron finally had a healthy team, they blew a 3-1 lead. Kevin Durant at that time was better than Stephen Curry. Do you think at that
Steph
time
Curry was the most
Steph
important player?
KD?
He was the most important player on that team, Cam. Absolutely, yeah.
No, he was the best player on the team. He changed the game. He changed that.
He was the best player. Without Steph Curry,
Kevin Durant was the best player.
Take Steph Curry off that team, I promise you, I don't think that they get past the conference finals.
But if we're talking about who was the best player on the team, it was Kevin Durant.
No, it was Steph Curry.
How?
Show me Kevin Durant's unanimous MVP.
We're talking about the best player when they were playing basketball together.
Yeah, and Steph Curry won the unanimous MVP the year before. Steph Curry was the best player on that team because Steph Curry was the focal point upon which that entire offense surrounded him. That without Steph Curry there, he was the absolute engine of that offense. Kevin Durant was able to feast on one-on-ones because all 10 pair eyeballs on the defensive end were staring at Steph Curry as he was running around the perimeter.
I mean, it was a super team, so that argument kind of cancels out itself. I mean, people had to have eyes like that because they had Klay Thompson on the other side as well. Kevin Durant was drawing the same type of attention. Kevin Durant was the same person who was leading 3-1 against Steph and the Warriors as well. Kevin Durant brought his team. But didn't
he blow that lead? So how can he be better if he blew that lead?
On Kevin Durant. We've seen the focal points on Kevin Durant in Brooklyn, and no one's been able to stop him. He took Giannis, the player you said is the best basketball player in the NBA right now for 7 games.
When he's the focal point, they don't win. When he's the focal point, they don't win. He's
doesn't make you worse than somebody.
Postseason series.
That doesn't make you worse than somebody, though.
Yes, it does. If you can't be the focal point of a title-winning team, if we're talking about 2 focal points, and one has been the focal point of 4 championship-winning teams, and one has been the focal point of a team that just lost in the first round,
that makes you better legacy, and that makes you better. That makes you better than
we're talking about who's greater. We're talking about who's greater.
Take Steph, so you would take Steph over KD right now?
Yeah, because Steph's actually going to play 50 games for me.
We're talking about just talent. Okay, forget the injury. We're talking about talent for talent. Because when Steph has had nobody, the Warriors really don't do anything. Because there was a season where Klay was hurt, Draymond went down, and there was nothing from Steph Curry. There was nothing from him.
They were playing a G League roster.
Kyrie barely played games, and KD still got into the playoffs.
Yeah, but they still had Joe Harris. They still had Bruce Brown.
Joe Harris didn't play last season.
They still had Nick Claxton. They still had plenty of role players. They brought Seth Curry in. They had plenty of role players.
But I'm saying he didn't have another All-Star on his team.
Yeah, but there's a difference between he didn't have another All-Star and Steph Curry's next best player was James Wiseman.
He couldn't get in the play-in. The Warriors weren't in the bubble.
Yeah, with James Wiseman as his number 2 player, I think that he's excused there, Cam.
I think you're putting a little too much on my boy. I can't agree with that because why would they recruit KD if he wasn't better? Literally, when the odds were the same, when the odds were the same, he couldn't beat LeBron James. When LeBron had Kyrie, Kevin Love, and his whole squad, Steph squandered it. He squandered it. So I can't say he's better than Kevin Durant because when they had him, it was so lopsided.
But Kevin Durant hasn't won a title.
He was the driving
Kevin Durant
force.
hasn't won a title without Steph Curry.
That's fine.
That completely. So if he needed Steph Curry, how come he won this year? He won this year without KD.
I can't take away anything
He's
from his
won
ring
2
this year.
rings without KD. KD hasn't even he's made 1 finals without him. And he needed a great season from Russ.
That's fine, but to say that what Kevin Durant is doing right now isn't top 2 or top 3 worthy is insane. No one has
70
called
games
Stephen Curry the best player in the
years.
league. No one has called him that. No one has called him that ever.
Who, Steph?
No one has ever called Steph Curry the best player in the league.
When he won a unanimous MVP, I think they were saying that he was the best player in the league.
You would have took Steph over LeBron James. You would have took Steph over LeBron.
We're not talking about. We're talking about who was called the best player in the league. And if all the writers, if all of these people who watch the game of basketball day in and day out,
in 2015, you thought Stephen Curry was the best player in basketball.
I'm saying that like hundreds of writers.
I don't care what everyone else said. I'm talking about you. What did you think?
Huh?
What did you think? I don't care what the writer said. What did you think?
It's different
from
scenarios.
What you saw.
I'm just
did
saying
you think that Stephen Curry was the best player in basketball?
MVP. He's the only unanimous MVP in NBA history. He was the focal point and the offensive engine of 4 championship winning teams. And he has done it by both deferring shots and taking tons of them.
Kevin Durant was better than Steph. Go ahead, get in here.
I was about to say, can I get in on this or something? But anyway.
You can always get in. You got to insert yourself.
All right. I'm not trying to take away from anything Steph Curry has done or diminish any of his accomplishments, but in comparison to Kobe Bryant, Kobe is just in another class than Steph Curry. First of all, Kobe, in my opinion, should obviously he is or he should be in the same conversation with LeBron and Michael Jordan. And even after this finals win and MVP, an MVP win, I don't think we would place him in that. I don't think we would place him over LeBron or Michael Jordan. So I wouldn't do the same thing with Kobe. And when you think about Kobe Bryant, of course, you think about the killer instinct. You think of how he dominates. And you think we've seen him multiple times. We've seen Kobe has taken over games and single-handedly destroyed his opponents. And don't get me wrong, like I've said, Steph Curry has taken over from time to time as well. And I believe that with Steph Curry, it's more of a collective effort. So Steph, yes, he is successful, but I believe Steph is more successful because he has Draymond's passing and defensive effort as well. He's successful because he has Klay's ability to spread the floor as well. I'm not saying that alone makes Steph successful because he has his own success, but I think that has a big hand in that as well. And if we're talking about accolades, are we just gonna ignore the 5 rings that Kobe has? And I know you bring up the fact that he played with Shaq, but you could make an argument that he was arguably the best player for 2 of those championships, and he has 2 Finals MVPs, 15 All-NBA team selections, and as you talked about, Cameron, you talked about the defense, 12 defensive team selections. And if we're talking about scoring, yes, we know that Steph is the creme de la creme when it comes to scoring. But when you look at Kobe, there are just a couple of moments to me that Kobe has done that stand out to me as well. He's averaged, like you said, 35 points a game in the 2005-2006 season. I'm thinking about how he had the #1 seed and went back-to-back, averaging 30 points per game, 4 straight 50-point games, 60 points over the entire Mavs team in the third quarter. I'm looking at the 81 points he had. And, I'm just thinking about when it comes to the scoring ability, also, I'm thinking about how Kobe has so much in his bag as well. He can score from the 3-point line, the mid-range, the three. He'd do a 360 windmill, whatever you want. Steph is definitely a showstopper. But Kobe, too, was an elite offensive showcase in his time as well, on top of being an elite defender and on top of playing against some of arguably the toughest defense.
Steph Curry, as great as he is, might be the worst defensive player in the top 10, though. If we're gonna say that he is top 10 as well. And basketball played on 2 sides, Josh. So I don't really understand where this argument is, because you're only talking about one side of the ball.
It's a different era though, because we really can't play defense anymore now. So, he's allowed to thrive because of the way that the rules are, which, to an extent was true for Mike in the 80s and it's true for LeBron right now. The rules have changed over time, so I'm with you there. And yeah, Steph's probably the worst defender in the top 10 because half of them are centers from the 90s and they were all, defensive player of the year candidates. But I don't know. I hate this whole super team argument when Kobe literally played with Shaq, who is arguably right up there all time with him. And he was the MVP while Kobe was there. Kobe wasn't even the best player on 3 of those ring teams.
Show up in certain moments where Shaq didn't, though. Like there were
when did
certain
Shaq not show up?
That was hanging. There were certain moments, like I'm thinking about the 2000s where they were playing against the Portland Trailblazers, where Shaq literally had 18 points on 9 shots and had 47 minutes of action. But Kobe had 25, 11, and 7, 4 blocks.
How many rebounds did he have? How many blocks did he have? Shaq dominated
4 blocks and 7 rebounds, scoring 48%.
4 blocks. That's pretty good. Either way,
I'm saying Shaq had 18 points on 9 shots for 47 minutes of action.
How many shots did Kobe have?
Let's talk about hold on. Let's talk about the games against Indiana, right? Shaq fouled out and Kobe had 28, 4, and 5 that he changed the direction of that series. And they were able to go 3-1 over them. So if Kobe doesn't do that, that doesn't change the trajectory. He had two good
playoff games when Shaq didn't show up. Shaq was the MVP while they were on those teams together. Kobe wasn't the best player on 3 of the 5 teams that he won a ring on. So
Steph Curry was not the best player when he won the 2 rings with Kevin Durant. That's why Kevin Durant won the 2 Finals MVPs. I really don't understand how you can go back and forth about this Shaq thing when he has Kevin Durant. You could argue and say that Kevin Durant is the greatest pure scorer we've ever seen.
Oh, but Cam, that's one side of the ball. You just said we're only talking about one side of the ball.
He's 7 feet tall and can score from anywhere. We've never seen anything like that.
One side of the ball now, Cam.
We've never seen anything like that.
Does KD not play defense? Like that.
Does KD not play defense?
I mean, he plays defense, but I'm just saying we're talking about one side of the ball. But either way, KD was great. I'm not saying he's not great. He's a fantastic scorer. But, I mean, I think we've seen that when KD is the unquestioned number 1, I don't think his teams go as far as they used to. And because he had Steph Curry and because Steph Curry was willing to completely move even more off ball, it made that team work. So Steph Curry was the best player because Steph Curry was the absolute gravity that pulled everybody away.
And if they don't have Kevin Durant, they continually lose to LeBron James.
No, if they don't have Kevin Durant, they still make the finals.
But they continually lose to LeBron James.
I don't know about that because if they don't have Kevin Durant,
I really think they
don't have Kevin Durant, they've got $20-something million that opens up that they can then use on other free agents to replenish their depth or sign somebody else. So to say that, they just continue to lose to LeBron James, we don't know what they would have done if they didn't get Kevin Durant. So to say that, I think is a little ignorant.
But it works the same way, though, because you don't know if Steph is going to have the same impact if they don't have Kevin Durant.
I do, because he did have the same impact. He won the MVP the year before without Kevin Durant. They went to the finals the year before without Kevin Durant. They won the finals the year before that without Kevin Durant.
Kind of say it's
because Kyrie, because at the same time, let's use the facts, because Kyrie and Kevin Love went down too in that finals as well.
Right.
They were playing against LeBron
2019, KD barely played the entire playoffs, and yet there the Warriors were in the finals. Kevin Durant played like 3 games. They were in the finals. 2021, Kevin Durant's languishing in Brooklyn, losing in the first round to Boston. That Boston team that he lost to, Steph Curry and the Warriors beat them in the finals. He's still doing his thing. He's still winning rings. Kevin Durant hasn't hit a conference finals since he left Golden State.
That's fine, but that doesn't take away that he was the best player on the team.
I think it does, considering he left Golden State, picked his own situation, and has won 1 playoff series since then.
That's fine. If you want to go and say right now that Steph Curry is better than Kevin Durant, you can. But I mean,
all time I
can't go on that.
In the end of this, you still don't know if he's better than Kobe. So
that's why I said I can't definitively put him there because Kobe was great and Kobe was the inspiration to a generation. But so Steph Curry, and Steph Curry is even more of an inspiration because he's completely changed the way that people play basketball. Because Kobe was just copying Michael, so Kobe took inspiration from somebody else. Steph Curry has blazed his own trail.
So he was just copying the greatest player to ever touch a basketball and was pretty close to doing the exact same thing he did.
If that was the case, then
I feel like if there's anyone to copy, if there's anyone to replicate, it would be Michael Jordan, right? I feel like another thing that we don't talk about, what about the players? Like the players that have played against Kobe Bryant have put him like top 3, top 2. People who've actually have played him have put him in that upper echelon. Does that also not matter?
An argument then, if we're going to treat their words as gospel, then there's no point in having.
I'm not treating it as gospel. I'm just saying it's almost an astounding alert of players who've been like, no, Kobe is like that good.
Gospel. You were talking about the writers. You were talking about using them in the scenario with stuff. You were trying to use their word as gospel. So
I was just pointing out that there were 120 people that year who watched basketball day in and day out and said he is the most valuable player.
These are
Either
professional
way.
basketball.
I'm with you. And I'm
naming
not
some players
saying
who said
Kobe's
he was
not
good.
there. I never
And I
said
was just
Steph
naming
was
some players
over
who said
Kobe.
he was good. He was top 5. I was just naming some players.
I never said that Steph was definitively over Kobe. I'm saying there's an argument to be had there because y'all dismissed it.
Yes or
saying
no?
he
Can
wasn't.
you answer the question? Why are you
No,
keep walking
because
around? Can you?
y'all definitively
Is he
said
better?
there's absolutely no. You said there's no way this Curry.
Is
I'm
he
saying there's an
better?
argument there.
Josh, can you answer the question though?
I have answered it. I'm saying
You have literally said there's not. You've used this word definitively. Is he better or is he not?
I think it's 8 and 9. I think as of right now, I'd lean to having Kobe at 8 and Curry at 9. But I think there's an argument for Curry at 8.
We're just gonna leave it off there. Comment down below who you think is better, or who is better legacy wise as of right now, Kobe Bryant or Steph Curry. And that's probably gonna wrap up our episode. Guys, you have anything to say?
Y'all gotta tune into the baseball season because we're about to hit the stretch run. The Braves are doing their thing. 2.5 games. About to get Juan Soto and Shohei Ohtani. It's gonna be beautiful, wonderful, sensational.
I just wanted to say I love the shirt you have on today, sir. And
even though I'm hating, shout out to the Warriors.
Yeah, don't try to tell me he's not better when you have him on your chest.
Takeover.
Wait, hold on. Jordan Poole is in the center now. But who made the shirt? Wait, who made the shirt?
All right, so Team Takeover, y'all. The shirt that Cameron is wearing right now is made by your girl, and you can purchase it right now at J Nation Creations. I'll put the link in the description. Go copy you a shirt. The Poole Party shirt. Go copy you a shirt. That's all I had to say.
Last thing I gotta say is shout out to McKeachton High School again, putting another athlete into the professional stage. My boy Victor Scott went to the 5th round to the St. Louis Cardinals. Shout out to him. Hopefully he has a great career out there. Takeover out.
Hey, champ. Yeah, we play it all in night. Yeah, need it all in advance. The opposition know we're ready for it. Like a supper we eating, it won't be the last. Grind all the muscle, pull up. Parker right on the grass. We coming in, take over everything, run it up. Not that holding me back. 3 in the wood, rushing. I don't like Dutch, don't even matter, you know I'm a facing. When I roll a paper, I like to go double.